All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today for what's naturally trending in 2023. Before we begin here, if anyone's new to our education series, we do Q&A at the end, but throughout the event, you could reach out to us using that Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Okay. With that, let's kick things off. So 2 weeks ago, InsightsNow and CuliNEX attended the Natural Products Expo West trade show. This was in Anaheim, California, and a really exciting event. Today we have with us Dave Lundahl, CEO of InsightsNow, and Kathy Stephenson, Director of Marketing for CuliNEX. They'll give us their thoughts for what were some of the highlights into products and product trends observed. Dave is going to be putting the observed trends into context of what this means for consumer behavior, and Kathy will be focusing on what these products and trends mean for the food industry. So, Dave, what were some of the key highlights you took away from the expo?
Yeah, so thanks, Carrie. This was an amazing opportunity to gain a snapshot of the natural products, food and beverage industry. You know, we met face to face with 161 companies, went to their booths, we talked to the owners, respective marketers, and we wanted to learn about what was new, what were the new food and beverage product innovations coming to market this year. Also, why are they developing these products and what are their hopes and dreams, So what we took away from these interviews were 5 key product trends. The first is that taste is king. We found that the sensory experiences, the aromas, the appearances, the tastes, the textures of the products at the expo this year have greatly improved. What this means is that great taste is now required to play, and taste is now table stakes. Secondly, we found that diversification of plant-based applications were just across the board. We found a continued diversification, a lot more unique innovations that we're going to be highlighting here in a few minutes, as well as competitive products, what is becoming some really crowded categories. And then third, we saw that there are a number of new and then growing marketing claims that we will be highlighting in some of the products that are doing this to stand out from the crowd. And then fourth, sustainability. I think this is the biggest theme of the expo. 60% of all the new products we observed throughout the expo used sustainability claims, certifications, and or was supported by mission-based brands. And last, the fifth trend is that branding is now being used as a key tool to differentiate. The number of brand strategies we found emerging, helping brands to be more bold, to stand out, or really tout their missions.
Excellent. Kathy, any other comments or thoughts to add here, highlights you'd like to include?
No, I think that these are definitely the themes that we saw, and there's so much to unpack. So I'm excited to get an opportunity to chat about them.
Excellent. All right, let's delve into each of these key product trends. Dave, let's start with you. What do you mean by saying taste is now table stakes?
Well, last summer, we conducted research into the aspirations of U.S. primary shoppers, those that are buying more than 50% of the groceries for their households. And what we found is that 32% of primary shoppers will trade away taste for a product that is environmental friendly. Now, that's an amazing statistic and really kind of shocked us. But what this show tells us is that these statistics are going to now be moot because the products going to market are that good. No one is going to be able to survive on claims alone.
Kathy, what about you? Do you agree? And if so, any examples that help bring this to life?
I just think that during COVID, the plant-based, revolution really kicked off, and we saw so many products that came to the market that were meat analogs, partially because we were exploring at the grocery store. We had meat shortages. And a lot of those products have been known to not have the greatest taste. And I think some of the trade-offs that Dave talks about with, sustainability or plant, going to plant-based versus meat from a, preserving the earth in some way. I think those trade-offs were happening, but I think the show showed us too that, and consumers always tell us that taste is the number one thing. They're always ranking taste as the most important thing from a repurchase standpoint. So we've tasted a lot of products. There's a lot of branding and messaging and packaging, hype and everything that can help get that first trial of a product. But if it doesn't taste good, I 100% agree with Dave that, we're really seeing a commitment from new products to really taste great. And there were several plant-based and other products that formulations have shifted and the flavors were really improved, I thought.
Awesome. So Kathy, let's start with you in discussing our second product trend, the diversification of plant-based applications. What were some of your highlights?
I really believe that every part of the grocery store will eventually see strong plant-based offerings, across each category. And Dave and I were talking about how plant-based was discussed as a category, but we think that really, the broader food categories will all have a portion of plant-based right next to them. So we saw some strong entrance into the fish alternatives. Cheese and dairy had multiple products that showed up, and really, really lovely fermented butters and spreads, just a lovely clean flavor. You're seeing, again, taste is king, and in plant-based, we're seeing some improvements being made there. There were some lovely ice creams and novelties that also made a splash, and several non-egg products that were terrific. Dave talks about the aspirational gap sometimes in this plant-based side, and a key for consumers to win in this plant-based space is to have the right product that gives them the right taste, the right parameters that fit into with their diet. And it's important for marketers to really identify what each of the consumer needs are and provide a product. I always feel like it's very important to remember that for a flexitarian, that animal-based choice is right there if the taste and the price fail. So those measurements are really important for brand marketers and product developers to think about.
Awesome. And how about you, Dave? What were some of your highlights in regards to plant-based?
Yeah, nearly, as Kathy said, nearly every animal-based product category now has some outstanding plant-based analogs that look, they taste, feel, and smell a lot like the animal-based foods. So I like to highlight three companies that we found that stood out. The first is a company called Conscience, and they plan to launch next winter the very first ever line of plant-based frozen sushi. And it was a fantastic product that they were showing we could taste. It's a unique packaging as well to prepare the product from frozen to ready to serve by just adding some warm water. The second is a company called Planet-Based Foods. This is a San Diego-based startup. They use hemp seeds, which have a very high protein content. And they have a line of products called the Original Hemp Burger. This was incredible. It was juicy. It was tasty. I was blown away by it. They also have a line of taquitos and they will soon be launching a dairy-free hemp-based ice cream. And I tasted it. It was creamy. It was good. It was just an amazing product. So last thing, this startup also is giving back to some sustainability causes. So they're also mission-based. The third is Wonder Eggs. Now, this startup has developed a vegan, plant-based hard-boiled egg. And as you can see from this picture, these products look just like a real hard-boiled egg. In fact, they actually taste and smell like a real hard-boiled egg. It has the sulfury smells that you would really expect. So that was just blown away by that.
Wow, those really are some amazing products. All right, well, let's get to the third product trend, new marketing claims. Dave, let's start with foods. Two themes
Sure.
emerged this year, new and growing marketing claims. They're allergy-free and hero ingredients. Will you
Yeah.
tell us some more?
Yeah. So in the allergy-free area, we saw a lot of allergy-free products. I'd like to highlight Everybody Eat. This brand provides a line of clean label, plant-based, cheese-less thin snacks, something akin to a Cheez-Its. It's safe for consumers concerned about the top 14 allergens, not just one or two. So they really stood out because if people are concerned about their snacking, have just about any kind of allergen, they're covering it with ingredients they're using, such as brown rice and potato starch. There were some other non-allergenic products there, including a company called Angelic Bakehouse. It's a line of bagels. Moo Allah is a line of banana milk. And Runathons is a company with a brand called Ready, Set, Good. This is a brand of baby foods. So providing products at the right stage of a baby's growth. So there's also 4 companies we like to highlight that showcase innovative uses of what we call hero ingredients, like nuts and ancient oats and beans, and there were a lot of seaweed applications. But I think the one that stood out as a hero ingredient in food this year was mushrooms. We saw this trend last year in beverages, with these adaptogens from mushrooms, but today we'd like to highlight Eat the Change. It's a startup that offers 2 different branded lines, and the first is called Mushroom Jerky. I absolutely love this product and found myself inhaling a whole bag of it on my flight home. So the other one is from Eat the Change is these Cosmic Carrot Chews. It's a tasty carrot-based kid snack, so all you moms out there, it's a great product if you want to get your kids to, ramp up their vitamin A, So, but anyways, they also are giving back percentage of their revenue through a nonprofit called ETC Impact. So that was great highlight.
That's great. So what stood out for you, Kathy, as in regard to new food claims?
Really, it is about that hero ingredients. I mean, and mushrooms were on the menu everywhere. So from beverages to bars and snacks. And even Spins data says that, the sales of snacks and beverages that were formulated with functional mushrooms, including like reishi and lion's mane, turkey tail, has grown 29%. So right now that's at about 186 million in sales. So we saw a lot of it. We certainly have seen the emergence of mushroom bacon as a winner as well. So not even just in the snack area, mushroom bacon. There's a company called My Forest Foods, which has certainly been a media darling, has been awarded many things this year and absolutely tastes delicious. Another packaging claim that we have seen really similar to like the RX bar, which includes, so many dates, so many pieces of fruit, so many egg whites, is to really talking about how many whole foods are included in the container. So we're looking for whole foods in our foods. We're looking for simplified ingredient statements. And by claiming how many whole foods, I think is a really great way for companies to start talking about how they're cleaning up their ingredient statements. So there was a company called One Plant, and in talking with them, it's like, no, there's one plant in here. And that, we're really focused on delivering a plant. And a lot of the upcycled fruit products, including rind and a few others, we're really talking about how many pieces of fruit are in that. There's Brainiac, which also has some kid products, which I really admire. And they're looking at the key ingredients, again, a halo effect of the benefits of functional ingredients for children and how many fruit servings are in there. So lots of great things. Again, the hero ingredients was a big deal.
Excellent. And Dave, what about new claims for beverages?
Yeah, there's like 4 key themes that we saw kind of standing out here in beverage claims. The first is kind of the growing trend in mushrooms as adaptogens. There's a couple of innovations we want to highlight. The second is a growing trend for hydration and recovery. And there's a company that we want to highlight here. Third is water with a twist. It's again, continued theme from last year. And the fourth is alcohol free, and I'm going to highlight a company here. So in the idea of mushrooms, we like to highlight Melting Forest brand is from CBD Living Water. This is the first product we've seen positioned as mushroom sparkling water. Notice the boldness of this packaging. I think it fits with some of the targets that they're trying to get, and we'll be talking about branding here a little bit, but it's something we want to highlight there. But Melting Forest is a great product. The second comes in the hot drinks category, and this is a company called Laird. It's an instant plant-based instant latte, and it's designed with it's freeze-dried coffee, but it has added MCT oil from coconuts, of caffeine, of course, but a mix of adaptogens from mushrooms. And finally, we like to highlight an innovative Seattle-based company called Bulletproof. Now, they offer a line of products for increased cognitive functionality. And they had this line of ground coffees. And this one product called High Achiever is one we'd like to highlight. It provides not only a medium dark roast flavor, but also has added vitamin V, lion's mane as an adaptogen, and coffee berry for added mental focus. Now, when it comes to hydration and recovery, we like to highlight Liquid IV. Now, this is a 10-year-old company that they claim, when I talk to them, that they're going to be topping $1 billion in 2023 revenue. That's an amazing growth. They have not only taken the hydration and recovery industry by storm, but they're looking to extend this sort of dry mixed electrolyte claims for speed to get things into your bloodstream quickly as uptake. Now they're extending to accelerate the health benefits from kombucha, as well as natural energy sourced sort of ingredients. So that's really cool. They also make some sustainability claims for lowering greenhouse gas emissions by shipping dry mixes versus heavier weight ready to drink beverages. Now, this leads us to the story of water. Water with a twist. This year, there are 50 companies selling water or water products in some way at the expo. And to stand out, these companies all have to have some sort of a twist. What we saw was one interesting things is companies such as Flow Hydration this year, an increase in companies, water companies touting alkaline water. So Flow Hydration is a B Corp. That means they're giving back. And they provide an artisan spring water product with alkaline pH of 8.1, and their product is 100% certified as recyclable. So pretty cool. Finally, I like to highlight one of my favorites from the whole show. This company's name is called Free AF. They provide alcohol-free cocktails, and they do this with a patented ingredient claimed Afterglow. Now, this new ingredient provides the same warming sensation as alcohol. And if you've tasted any other non-alcoholic products, you realize that there's often this alcohol flavor missing. And I think this company might be able to overcome this challenge with this Afterglow ingredient, and could be a game changer for those seeking to go on a drier airy diet, after the holidays, or those simply choosing not to consume alcohol.
It's awesome. How about you, Kathy? What stood out to you about new beverage claims?
I thought these examples were great that Dave shared. And, really it's about that functionality and using ingredients to create that. So we think that this is all about hydration, with that boost, a boost for the brain or the gut, or some other, boosting of health benefits. So I think there's a feeling that with consumers that in this space on the beverage aisle, which is expanded now to what, an entire aisle in the grocery store, it's the place where I can really customize and personalize for myself. I can find that flavor I like the most, the right amount of sweetness and sugar and all those additives and supplements that really will, deliver against my personal needs, where I'm at in my, whether I'm in extreme sports or just, running out to the grocery store and wanting some taste tickling. So, that water category is certainly happy to deliver. What is fascinating to me, and you really see it at a place like Expo West, is where you see these amazing health claims. And as we've talked about, so many people were calling out those ingredients they're using. There's just a push to try to blur those lines for food. And it's very hard because we know that foods are regulated by what's on the nutritional label, even if there's a high level of antioxidants, even if those mushrooms in there are providing what we know are some amazing brain cognitive improvements. It's documented. It's just not something that we can put on food. So we certainly saw people looking at the claims in the beverage category or in the supplement category and really challenging themselves to think about how can we bring that over to the food space. So, it's not an easy thing, and people in this food area really need to watch and be careful about how they use this information. But halo impact from those hero ingredients is the way to do it. Whether it's a blueberry or a mushroom or some of the other, superfoods, having those key ingredients in there and calling them out, you're really just hoping that these halo marketing efforts being made in other parts of the supplement and beverage area carry over to your food product.
Awesome. Thanks, Kathy. So let's move on to our fourth key product trend, sustainability. So Dave, you mentioned there were a number of new measurements, certifications, validated claims that support a more sustainable future. What stood out most for you?
Yeah, well, already highlighted the importance of sustainability. 60% of the companies we surveyed at the expo are reducing greenhouse gases by being plant-based or positioning themselves as providing sustainability through their sourcing of ingredients, their manufacturing practices, the use of sustainable packaging, or providing products that support behavioral change that consumers are seeking for a more sustainable future. So I like to highlight 4 companies this year. The first is a company we actually highlighted last year. This company's name is Airly. They are innovative in their business model. They're doing quite well, and they're growing their line of snack products based on a supply chain that they've created from grain sources whose farms are certified to be sequestering more carbon than they are emitting. So great company. The second comes from upcycling companies. And we saw a growing number of upcycling companies at the show. One that stood out for us was called Made in Nature. They caught our eye because of their branded line called Second Chances. And this is a line of upcycled fruit snacks. It was really good fruit snacks, and well done. The third is a company called Mission Loop. And this is a 6-year-old Canadian company that is expanding their operations into the US. They claim they're going to be in California here, opening up a plant. And they have a very innovative business model where they are building beverage processing plants right next to produce distributors. And what they're doing is, produce distributors just can't get all their product fast to market enough. And 15 to 20% often goes right into the landfill. So they're utilizing this this produce that's going to get thrown away and making beverages out of it. The fourth is a company called All Real. This is a line of nutritional protein bars that we highlight because it includes some advances in packaging and sustainability claims. They're one of 2 companies we saw at the show that made home compostable versus commercial compostable claims. In addition to claims such as plastic free, They're certified to be origin green, which is a sustainable manufacturing standard. And they claim that they give back, stating that every bar sold prevents one plastic bottle from entering the ocean. So it's a great mission based brand.
Awesome. So next to you, Kathy, what stood out to you about sustainability this year?
This has been coming and growing over recent years, and consumer demand is one of the things that's driving it. And even the major multi-brand leaders, are posting those goals that they have for achieving. We always call it measurable impacts. So things that you can measure and show the impact that it's having on the earth or on communities. So we saw General Mills and Danone. They all had really large experiential displays talking about their goals. And new in the challenge is really to backfill all those foods with ingredients. Mm-hmm. So, we even spoke with a lot of major ingredient suppliers that are creating regenerative and sustainable divisions to support all the agriculture infrastructure that's going to be required to help major companies and small companies to have enough crop that's regenerative or meeting the different sustainability measures. Included in that, really is that certification that we talked about, validating that crop and the practices that are being used, do have those measurable improvements on the footprint. We visited with How Good and a regenerative agriculture certificate at the show. Upcycled Food Association also had a large presence. They have about 250 members. We're actually members of that organization. And they had as many as 30 different members that were exhibiting on the show floor and showing their products. It was pretty cool. Refed is another organization that we spoke with that's really capturing and measuring the recycling and waste reduction efforts for companies. So all good stuff. Finally, I got to point out Moonshot crackers. This product was formulated with regenerative ingredients by its parent company, Plant Forward, who has big goals around regenerative agriculture and a lot of these sustainability messages. And this product was one that they did put out as an example of how companies could found and foster these kind of new products. Well, big news on the show floor, and it got a lot of attention, was that Patagonia Provisions purchased this product. So it gained lots of conversation. It was something that certainly got brought up throughout the show floor. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, this brings us to our fifth and final key product trend that we observed at NPEW 2023. It's branding to stand out. So let's start with you, Kathy, an exciting one. As a fellow marketer, what did you observe about branding this year?
I saw this in my own mind, but also saw it picked up on social media quite a bit in LinkedIn. It was really pink. I mean, everything was pink. Pink was everywhere. Everybody was wearing pink outfits to match their booze. There was just, it sounds crazy, but this color just generated enthusiasm throughout the entire show floor. So, in recent years, we've seen a push for real minimalist packaging, sometimes almost too much, in my opinion. But it really does appeal to a younger audience. And so that minimalism has been, exceptionally followed by many brands. It really clears that palette to communicate the most important things about a product. And Dave and your group certainly find enormous value in really being clear about what your product is bringing and delivering for the customer. So, as a marketer at Expo West, it's a study in packaging design, from fonts and colors and varnishes. Everything is there to really learn so much about what's driving some of the branding. So if you are in packaging, you absolutely should be at Expo West every year just to see some of the amazing things happening.
All right. And how about you, Dave? What stood out to you about branding?
Yeah, I was struck in the past in last few years when the expo was held, many companies relied on their claims to stand out. But this year, I think there was a lot more emphasis in building brands, both in terms of boldness, which you often saw through their packaging, but also the personality and as Kathy said, the colors. So I like to highlight as a point of difference, Melting Forest. I mentioned this brand earlier. These bold, very bold as a mushroom sparkling water in terms of how they designed their product. And you can see that they're targeting younger shoppers for moments where energy or cognitive functionality is the jobs to be done by the product. So now, point of difference, take a look at Sunwink. Now, Sunwink is also really good branded product with a different personality. This personality is positioning itself as different, through its colors and styling, targeting women seeking relaxation moments. So anyways, that's pretty cool. There are also a number of mission-based brands that we saw, and I think more so than in last year, were overt in touting their support for various different sustainability causes and so on, either environmental sustainability or social sustainability as their point of differentiation to stand out from the crowd in what is in some cases becoming very crowded categories, especially in snacks, especially in water, and so on and so forth.
Wow. So this has, overall just been a fantastic snapshot of the natural products, food and beverage industry. I think, we're at a point where we could get to some wrap-up comments. Let's start with you, Kathy. Anything else that you'd like to highlight here?
Yeah, the elephant in the room at the show really was, a real shift in venture capital investment. And there was a big shoe dropping with the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. So we know that there were, more than one founder that was on the floor wondering if they were going to be able to, make that payroll on Monday. It was happening live and right in front of us. So like tech, a lot of food businesses, especially in the Bay Area, have deposits at SVB. So that was a big live, scary thing that was happening with founders that were walking the show floor. This industry's had really strong growth with venture capital investments, partially due to ultra low interest rates for the past 20 years. We've had fast growing consumer categories in natural products and plant-based foods. There's been these darling brands that have really sold for giant multiples on earnings, and that payday has been a big reason why venture capital has participated here. So, this change and shift is crazy, and Expo West is really that showroom for all these emerging brands. So a lot of chatter before the show happened, and then a lot of discussions on the show floor. We certainly had conversations in our booth. Some of our clients, are looking at, their VC opportunities or are coming to the end of those relationships. So, what's going to happen next? Funding is going to be harder. And, the standards are going to be higher for founders and products to have high earnings in return. Dave will always say, and your group's going to always say, that having the right defined consumer benefits and understanding how your product delivers on those aspirational needs and those things that consumers are looking for, there's going to be opportunities, but it's going to be a harder job.
Yeah. All right, Dave, how about you? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'll echo what Kathy just said. I mean, the innovators are going to, in the food and beverage category, are going to need to go beyond venture capital-based business plans where the strategies get to market as fast as possible, drive revenue growth, and then think about profitability second. Now they're going to have to shift to solid business plans where you're going to have to show that you're going to get to profitability and early stage cash flow quicker. The good news here, though, is that the natural foods industry is growing. And I think spins, according to spins in the U.S., natural foods grew 6.6% last year. That's pretty good given the climate we're in. And our consumer research shows that consumer demand is still very strong for these types of products that provide health, wellness, functionality, and sustainability, while delivering, as we said earlier, the table stakes of great sensory experiences and affordability. So I like to close by what I think is the other elephant in the room, and that is affordability. Now, there's been a lot of discussion recently about how plant-based revolution has hit kind of a big speed bump, and that companies like Impossible Foods and Beyond Foods are not meeting their investor sort of targets. The snapshot we saw this year at the Natural Products Expo West shows that there's an increasing diversity in plant-based applications that I believe are going to require a lower technical threshold than in the past. I suspect that these new products are going to go to market, are going to be a lot more affordable price points in comparison to animal-based products. So this gives me hope. I also believe the same affordability issues translate to many of the other categories of natural products that we highlighted today. Affordability is going to be key in these business plans if you're going to attract investors, and more importantly, you're going to attract retailers. I think this requires companies to do their homework before they go to market, do their research, and a great product idea is not going to fly unless you are targeting some real consumer demand with a brand that's going to stand out and is trusted with the right promises through its messaging, and then to have a product that also delivers on those promises by being both tasty and affordable.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you to the audience for joining us today. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Kathy, for sharing these trends and highlighting these products from the expo this year. We do have some time for questions now. And while we give you a moment to drop those into Zoom, I'll share two opportunities for our audience. So our next session is on Research for Sustainability, April 13th. You could use the code here to go ahead and save your spot. And our next opportunity for even more in-depth insights on what's naturally trending, you could use this QR code to get on the list for an exclusive preview of Naturally Trending 2023. It will also give you access to the 2022 report right away today. Okay, so with that, let's dive into audience questions. Okay, it looks like we have one that says, why do you think that there is a wider variety of colors and packaging design if there has also been an increase in minimalism? Do you think these products are standing out more in a good way amongst consumers?
I'll take that one. I would suggest to you that minimalism and bright colors are not independent. So strong, bold colors, if you're in packaging design, helps to get your product seen on the shelf, but really simplified logos and very simplified messages. And again, when we're designing a product from the brand design all the way to the product design and what we're delivering, you've got to be super clear and simplified on what you're trying to deliver. Products that try to deliver too much will fail. And so I think that the minimalism really comes in rather than multiple colors across the package. It's a simple color, and then call outs to those marketing messages that really are going to talk to the audience. So yes, I think, and I also think that these simplified colors really appeal to a younger audience. So, if you walk the aisles right now and you're seeing brands that have really just gone to much cleaner packaging. And boy, at the show was, it was a case study in the shifts that's going on. So color and minimalism are not independent.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I thought that a lot of the products, the packaging, if you think of just package design per the question here, we're all trying to be more sustainable. Mm-hmm. And for instance, you saw there is not yet, and minimalism is, I think, a key one way to do that. And they're just looking for ways to be able to deliver minimalism for a wider range, or excuse me, more sustainable products for a wider range. So reduction in plastic or elimination of plastic. There's still not a really good, for a lot of type of package designs, ways to eliminate plastic caps on the closures. But I heard some talk, and I actually met with a package design firm out of the UK that was there, and they claim to be able to reduce the amount of plastic by 2/3 and still have it be functional. So things like that. I think those things are coming about. I'm looking for non-plastic types of packaging closures to come out, and I think that will fit with some of the minimalism needed. But I think consumers really also there's certain cues where you don't, the question is trade-offs. Are consumers willing to trade away convenience? And some are, just like taste. But if we're going to be able to reach more consumers, then minimalism may not be, in terms of what has been initially launched, may not be the right signals or the right approach. But anyways, that's just my comments. I think the industry is looking to expand its reach into a broader net of people.
We've got about 3 minutes left here, don't we? So let's go through. I think we've got some good questions here, Carrie. I'm going to take that next one, which were, what were the big differences in trends last year compared to this year? I would say a lot of them are repeated. We've done this Naturally Trending program twice, but to the point we made, plant-based was not just about analogs. It was much more diversified. And I would say plant-based was a little tuned down in the show. But the products definitely tasted better, and there was a broader number of flavors and combinations. And I would also say those hero ingredients, mushroom, was a big deal this year.
Yeah, one person asked what was trend number one because they joined in late. It's taste is king. So what was the most inspirational collaboration, co-branded partnerships that you witnessed at the expo? And I think it's these associations, Kathy, that you highlighted, like the Recycling Foods Association and some of the others you mentioned. I think those are some really great partnerships that are on there. I didn't see much in the way of co-marketing, if that's what people are asking about. But I don't know. Did you notice any interest in co-marketing?
It was probably there, but none of it jumped out. I mean, again, it's a gigantic show. We do see a lot of these companies that are trying to move forward these sustainable things like Planet Forward, producing products that represent exactly what they're talking about. So that's certainly a fun thing. Ingredient companies that are producing products to show the functionality. And a lot of them are also working with brands. So some of that to deliver on that sustainability message, we saw some of that collaboration. I think those
right. Somebody's here's a comment about kinds of products faring in markets like Europe. How are these kind of products where affordability plays a role, but isn't necessarily the key driver for consumers? I think some of the markets in Europe are ahead of the curve than the US in many ways. UK, probably more similar to the US, but in the continent, UK, I think the demand in terms of research that I have seen shows it is definitely ahead, and I think I think these products are going to play very well in Europe as well as US.
Yeah. Next question is really about mushroom products and consumer acceptance. The lines were long. The people backed up to try the mushroom products, whether they were, supplements or in food. And when they tasted good, the folks were taking samples with them. So I think there's a lot of really delicious ways mushrooms have been incorporated into these foods, into bars, into snacks, into granolas. I certainly am a huge fan of Forage with their with their mushroom product, and they're delicious. I would say that I did get a sample of a coffee product with mushroom, and I've tried some of the products out there. So I think that's a place for opportunity. I'm going to have to taste mine and see how that turns out. But I think that mushrooms are on their way, and I think the health benefits are being documented, and consumers are pretty excited to try.
Yeah, mushroom jerky I mentioned earlier. Gosh, that was such a really fantastic tasting snack, and I just inhaled it.
All right, and our final one.
This one is really important. I know InsightsNow and CuliNEX did a webinar. If you go back in InsightsNow, that we did a webinar about just this topic, about the difference between formulating for an analog and formulating for plant-based. And the idea that to have a meat analog that has to do everything, that has to fry, that has to saute, that has to air fry, that has to be grillable, to make that happen, it requires a lot of ingredients, a lot of technology, to make it look like it's raw at the grocery store and deliver in taste, texture, and mouthfeel and the fatty feel in all those different applications. So, you know, I feel like so many of the little stews or the little pouches full of meals, the use of mushroom and artichoke and some of these other things to make plant-based foods taste delicious. I think it comes down to whether you're appealing to a flexitarian to make a shift in how they avoid animal-based products, or if it's a vegetarian, which we know is a very small segment. So, you know, really identifying who you want to eat this product and what are they looking for? Are they looking for health benefits? Are they looking for, you know, improving the planet, or are they trying to avoid animal-based products? So, and formulating for that purpose. So,
yeah, I will add that clean label for these, and this goes exactly what you're saying, Kathy, and the formulations, when it's very targeted for a specific type of application versus broad application, it's much easier for those products to be much more clean label. And that's been one of the things that you've seen, you know, as a point of differentiation across the board, and many of the plant-based products across the expo, is they're getting simpler and cleaner.
Which is good.
Yep, good. Yeah.
Love that.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our questions, and I think we're a wrap then. Again, thank you to the audience. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Dave.
Sure.
Great insights here. And we'll see you all on the next one.
Super. Bye.
Bye.